Hey traders, welcome back. Today I want to talk to my Forex and futures traders out there who might be curious about stock trading. We're going to take a look at how you can find strong stock opportunities using a process similar to how you'd analyze the Forex or futures market. Let's go ahead and let's take a look. If you're used to trading the Forex and futures market, you know about the process that often starts with the big picture view. Let's take a look at the big picture view here in stocks and see how we can use this similarly the way that we would approach it in Forex and futures. Let's take a look. All right, so here you guys can clearly see that we have some stocks, right? We're going to go to the overall market here, the SPY. We'll take a look at the daily charts, but really what we're looking at is right here on the right-hand side, where you're seeing here what? The sector outlook, right? The mentality into the stock market, right? There's 11 sectors, right, to look at. And then we have industries, we have 28 industries and tons of stocks, right? So let's take a look at this and keep it simple, right? So what's happening across the global economy? In stocks, we can think about the same thinking, beginning at the top, looking for hot sectors in the market, because it's kind of like spotting strong currency pairs or commodities that are in demand. For example, maybe it's tech that's making a move to the upside. Maybe it's energy that's making the move to the upside, or consumer cyclicals. That could definitely help here. Finding these leading sectors is step one, just like identifying a strong currency and trend in Forex or which commodities are moving in the futures market. As we keep looking into the sectors, what we're looking to do is find what sectors are really moving here. Once we can find that sector that's hot, we can start to take a look at what's the next thing we want to look at. The next thing we want to look at is when we start to narrow down. We start to narrow down to industries within that sector. If tech is hot, maybe it's semiconductors or cybersecurity that's leading the way. In a way, this is like looking for a crosspair related to the contracts within a strong currency or commodity sector. Finding what's really leading the charge is what's important here. Like always, I like to focus on a macro to micro approach. So if I'm looking at technology, I can switch this scanner here, let's say not even for the day, looking at what is up this week, right? So then I can go ahead and align it here and say, okay, well, it's software application stocks that are doing well right now. And take a look at the daily trend here. You can see how much this is starting to get to the upside. So with that being said, we can start taking a look to see what's step 3. Let's go ahead and let's talk about it. Then we can start to focus on individual stocks within that industry that are outperforming their peers. This is very important, trying to find that outperformance, what I call the leaders, right? So in a similar way, you're looking into selecting the strongest pair or contracts in Forex and futures. We're building a list of high potential stocks that can benefit from a sector-wide momentum move, because that's really what we're looking for. At the end of the day, there's going to be times where money has to rotate, right? I always talk about how money doesn't really go to the sideline a lot of the times. It just rotates out. It could be maybe going from growth to value names. And this is why it's important to stick with sector rotation and understanding intermarket analysis, which is what we're talking about here. So for those that are familiar with the Forex and futures market, this approach should seem pretty intuitive here because it's about following the money from the macro down to the specific trade, right? We're looking to see that it goes from, let's say, money's going into technology and semiconductors, and then finally into AMD, right? The macro to micro approach. In Forex, you might start with a broader economic trend to find the strongest currencies, like let's say the US dollar, and then drill down that you want to trade the pair like the euro and the USD, or the USD and the Japan or the yen. This aligns you with those trends, right? In stocks, it's the same idea. We go from the strong sectors to specific industries, and then finally into individual stocks. And in futures, you might start by assessing the demand in sectors like, let's say, energy, metals, or agriculture, then select into a contract like crude oil or natural gas. That's showing you strength. And in those stocks, we're essentially doing the same thing. We're finding the strong sectors, narrowing down into the industries, then selecting the best stocks within those industries. So even though that the asset classes are very different, the structure of the analysis is very similar. It's all about identifying where the capital is flowing and then zero in on the best opportunities within that trend. Let's talk a little bit more about it here. And like always, guys, you guys can continue looking for this. And the reason this approach works, whether you're in the Forex or the futures market, is that the capital flow doesn't operate in isolation. Money moves between sectors, currencies, and commodities based on global trends. By starting with the big picture, we can align ourselves with the strongest move. So if you're a Forex or futures trader exploring stocks, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, guys. You already know how to analyze the market flows. This is just about applying the same process to a new asset class by going from the macro trends down to specific stocks. You're filtering out the noise and focusing on the highest potential trades. And there you have it, guys. A simple way to find strong stocks by following the same process you'd use in the Forex and futures market. If this comparison was helpful, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Are there any strategies from the Forex or futures market that you're interested in applying into stock trading? Let me know below, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Like always, Money Mitch, and of course, check me out every single day. I live stream this stuff every time, guys. I'll see you guys, like always, on Trade the Pool.